Sheep and beef farmers Alan and Leanne Woodrow have won multiple awards for their Perendale flock of sheep and their environmental management. The Woodrows believe Perendale sheep are the key to easy management on their Southland farm, where snow sometimes covers the ground for weeks.
It's 496 hectares, there's 460 is effective. We're running about 5,000 stock units, just under. Doing it all by myself with the help of my wife and children. Perendales came here in 1972. Dad put them over in the gorse and the tussock on the undeveloped ground, and they just thrived. And he put no work into getting the results. And over the years, labour has been becoming harder to get. Cost of farming is getting harder. They're cheap sheep to run, very little labour input. Especially at lambing, you just put them out in the paddock and you forget about them. They can seem to handle the climatic conditions here. Now, we get quite a few snowfalls in the winter time, rough weather in the hit lambing, and they just hack it. They come under stress, but they bounce back. Dad brought it in 1952. The previous owners had gone bankrupt. The rabbits took over, it was covered in gorse, and he made his income for the first 3 or 4 years out of rabbits. 40,000 he skunned the first season here. 50% of our income comes from just the lamb going to the works, and then they got the cattle and the ewe and the wool. The more you can produce, the more money you'll make. So it makes a more economical sense to produce good quality stock. When you have quality stock, you end up getting quality prices. We've planted a lot of shelter in the last 15 years. Yeah, the next aim is to fence a lot of waterways off. We've started, we've just got to get to the end of that. This line of ewes that we've got in here are my beef flock because they're scanned singles. We've gone through them twice this year, and this is the third time, which will be the final time for the year. These lambs over here will get weaned. These ones will go off to the works in a week when I get a unit load, and our strike rate by skimming them keeps the lambs growing on mum, rather than when you wean a lamb, he pines for mum, loses weight, loses growth rate, and then you've got to catch up. So we just keep them going. Leaving the tails on stops the stress of tailing, not only to the lamb but to the ewe. When a ewe comes underneath stress, it drops her milking abilities. So when she drops her milk, there's less milk for the lamb. The lamb gets stressed when he gets tailed and knocked around, and we're trying to increase the growth rates of the lambs. My breeding flock is tailed. I don't want to have a mob of ewes with long tails, but for the lambs, you know, it's an advantage to leave the beef lambs as long tailers. I can dag a long-tailed lamb quicker than I dag a tailed lamb. This tail doesn't wobble, and you just hold it up in 3 blows, unless it's dirty. But they're coming off mum. We've increased the growth rate of these long-tailed lambs. You don't have them around for long. These are my late lambers. They're a month younger than the rest of the sheep, just due for their drench. These are Soft-Ticks. Leave them as long tailers as well, because they're not going to breed from them. It's a really good cross the Perendales. Leaves a real active lamb. The Texel puts a bit more meat on the back here, and along the loin. The Suffolk increases the growth rate, and yeah, so we can get the lambs away quicker. The best performing ewes go to the Perendale Ram, and the beef flock, they go to the Soft-Ticks. And we're breeding from the A mob, the Perendales, and like the A mob at lambing time achieved 196% in the paddock, and we ended up with 158% overall. Yeah, so we're moving forward about 2% every year. We're getting that improvement by breeding from the A mob, which are solely twins, and if you have a single, you're in the B mob. There's no comeback. They got me twins as two-doos right through, getting ewes now that'll have had 3 or 4 lambings, and they're just twins all the time. Now that's the perfect ewe. We haven't drenched the ewes here for way over 20 years, and we have a few dags, but it's not through the worms, it's just through the seasonal climatic conditions. This year we won the wool section of the Hogget competition, and then the ewes pre-lambed 6 kilos of wool. It's a fantastic fleece on the sheep. The Hoggets went to the ram at 57 plus kgs, so that only gave us half the flock in lamb, and we get times of the year where you're under pressure. Well, you can pressure a stock without lambs or not in lamb, where you've got to look after the ones that are producing. And we're having no trouble with lambing in the Hoggets. They are not shepherded. They come up here on this hill and they do their thing, just like the Perendale ewes, and having no troubles with lambing because they're a big frame sheep as a Hogget. I like going to the awards. It's a way to meet new farmers and learn things. Other farmers do dog trialling and things like that, but my dogs aren't up to that standard. So yeah, I go along to these awards and I'm passionate about the sheep. Now they're our bread and butter. And if I can go to these Hogget competitions and I find out more information and bring it back to here and tweak it to my style, and you're always learning.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.